Hey ratbags, it's Jade today giving you a lowdown on some bad news. It looks like Subnautica 2 is going to be officially delayed till 2026, but maybe more egregious is the reasons why. Now, I did a video based on the community post that they'd put out stating that they were going to be given an update on their release plans in the future, and that smelled to me like delay. But there's more news today that seems to confirm it. And it's got nothing to do with the game not being ready, instead it's to save some money. If you hadn't caught up on this, effectively the founders of the studio that makes Subnautica Unknown Worlds, the three top guys, were basically fired last week, citing maybe not hitting internal milestones or progress. They've been replaced by someone that was responsible for the Callisto protocol, and at the time they said they would maybe give us an update on timelines and stuff for when Subnautica 2 may now release, as it was scheduled to come out in early access in 2025. Some of the devs eventually responded. Charlie Cleveland, the main creative force in terms of art direction and more, and we'll cover that in a second. But the big news coming out of actually a report by Bloomberg, it looks like they're delaying Subnautica 2 not because of maybe progress not being had enough, but instead to avoid paying out $250 million to the actual development team. Now, I've reported on this that, as far as I can tell, the founders of Subnautica haven't actually been involved as much in day-to-day progress of Subnautica 2. You may find it hard to believe, but they effectively sold their company a few years ago to Krafton, went and did their own little things, making new games or other stuff, and simply, as far as I'm aware, and stuff I've heard, aren't directly involved in day-to-day stuff, at least a couple of them. Nevertheless, it was a shock when they were just ceremoniously let go last week, and replaced by someone that hasn't maybe seemingly got the best reputation, but maybe it's a bit harsh to judge. But one of the founders, Charlie Cleveland, basically said that the game was ready. In a post on Reddit, Charlie Cleveland, otherwise known as Flavor, has also done an email and put out a post on X. So really want people to understand the story of Subnautica and basically his firing. It's a good read, I recommend you go and search it out. He says that many of the folks that started the journey with us 20 years ago have worked hard on Subnautica 2, and they're joined by some incredible new talent who are drawn to the studio by their love of games and their passion for the way they've made them. You can see for why me, Max, Ted, and the rest of the Unknown Worlds team and the community, the events of this week have been quite a shock. We know that the game is ready for early access release, and we know you're ready to play it. So in this excerpt taken from the actual paid report, the sequel's delay to 2026 was against the wishes of the studio's former leadership, according to the people. A $250 million bonus was due to kick in if Unknown Worlds hit certain revenue targets by the end of 2025. According to the purchase agreement, which was reviewed by Bloomberg, by delaying Subnautica into next year, the company is unlikely to hit those targets, and therefore the employees may not be suitable for the payout. So that is crazy. I have been trying to give Krafton the benefit of the doubt. I've spoken a little bit to Charlie Cleveland at times, trying to basically get him involved in a podcast I was doing with some of the Valheim devs, and he said that his focus was on movie making. And when you take a look at the involvement and other stuff, it really does look like the Subnautica team have just been ploughing along, doing the best they can, and seemingly getting it ready for its early access release. So regardless if the founders weren't necessarily around day to day, which does sound crazy, but in a lot of these situations where the game company gets sold, they often get retained as creative directors and stuff, and basically suits that will stick around and can have an input on games for sure. Like, I'm sure if there was issues with Subnautica 2, they would be able to take a more hands-on approach, but it's got its own game creator, own game director I should say. Just like Below Zero had its own director, I do believe. Their input is obviously what made the original game so good, and despite what anyone else wants to say, Below Zero is still sitting at a overwhelmingly positive review score, regardless of whether or not it's as good as the original. So there's an argument for both things there, that the original creative team behind Subnautica have made it a success. It is, of course, but the people that made Below Zero, the ones slightly under them that got the job done, did also a good job. Again, despite what anyone else will try and say, the reviews speak for themselves. But a true sequel to the Subnautica game, although it's set on a brand new planet, with co-op, has absolutely excited people. So the devs, knowing that they may be able to receive some big life-changing bonuses by actually getting this game out in a ready state, it's kind of crazy that Krafton would be that underhand to basically cut the money out from the dev studio. Of course, Subnautica 2 will make tons of money, given the previous games have sold millions. It's held up as one of the poster boys of story and survival, as well as obviously water gameplay. It'd be very easy for them to make probably up to 6 to 800 million based on maybe 3 to 4 million sales within the first week or two. That might seem pretty unachievable, but given Sons of the Forest achieved similar results in a short space of time, there's no way I'm doubting that Subnautica 2 with the co-op gameplay wouldn't sell more or less than, in fact, 4 million copies in the first week or so. So Krafton being potentially hugely greedy here, stopping their hard-working devs who've been working on Subnautica 2 for a number of years now from earning a bonus, that is pretty shit. The way the financial year runs, it will be 2025 to 2026, which in the UK runs to April. I think it might be slightly different in certain Asian markets with a few months overlap, but effectively shortening it. If they do release it in 2026, they'll only have a few months maybe to make up the shortfall or try and hit that bonus of milestone sales. So this is definitely looking like more and more Krafton didn't fire the leads of their studio simply because they weren't maybe having as much input. They fired them because they don't want to pay out $250 million to the rest of the team. And obviously some of them founders too. Literally as I'm recording this, more excerpts have come out from the Bloomberg report. There was apparently a town hall meeting where they went through some of the info. Jason Schreier reviewed an audio recording of a town hall at Unknown Worlds featuring the company's new CEO, Steve Patoussis. In this meeting, he allegedly says that he's unaware of the specifics of the bonus scheme and that any contractual terms established when Krafton bought Unknown Worlds are beyond my current understanding at the moment. On why the game is getting delayed, Patoussis reportedly says that it's never been told to me that we're making this change specifically to impact any earner or anything like that. He adds that Krafton's reasoning appears to be driven by wanting the highest quality product possible when it launches. Yeah, sure, right. Which is kind of crazy given they released the Callisto Protocol in a horrendous, broken, buggy state. And that was the game that this guy was partly responsible for. And of course, published, owned by Krafton. It's crazy, crazy stuff. Krafton are just absolute dickheads here. We have seen more and more dev blogs from Unknown Worlds in the most recent months. So that normally suggests the game is kind of on track and it's ready to go. If they're confident enough to start showing more gameplay and talking about level design and stuff, then it makes sense it would start to actually come out. Unknown Worlds did do a statement to the community saying that they've worked their hearts out pretty much to get Subnautica 2 ready. And despite the layoffs, which they haven't directly fully mentioned there, they're going to work with their new CEO to make sure they can get him up to speed and deliver on everything they want for Subnautica 2. They reiterate there's going to be no actual subscriptions, no loot boxes, no battle pass, and did add this in as well, no microtransactions. That was a concern of mine given Krafton's mobile games history and much earlier reports that originally they maybe were trying to make it into like a live service game. But no, devs have absolutely outlined this here, so it's great to see. But now they're pretty much being shuttered and delaying a game from coming out that fans would appreciate to save themselves a ton of money. According to some reports also earlier on that the game was actually in a pretty good state. One of the testers that got some access to it said that the game is, running pretty well. It seems to be good and is on track. So that is crazy, crazy stuff. If Krafton weren't the big bad guys before, it's going to be hard to justify how they come out of this with any kind of good grace if they really have delayed callously a release of a game purely to save themselves some money. Given the campaign for people to remove the game from their wish list and stuff that had been brewing, I think the best thing would have been to actually just release it and let the game speak for itself if it's in such a good state. But yeah, they've got other plans in mind, and it's becoming more clear why they fired the founders of Unknown Worlds. Regardless of whether or not their input was as direct as it was before, it seems pretty shit to take them out and then delay a game just to save some money. If we get any more details on this, or if there's any more clarification, I'll let you guys know. And yeah, I'll let you guys know any more details in the future. Until next time, ratbags, I'll see you later.